Well, this week, the headlines are heavy and the nation feels tense. There are, first of all, renewed allegations that Christians are being killed for their faith, a story amplified by some foreign media and US politicians. But the federal government insists that these claims are nothing but false, calling them divisive lies meant to deepen Nigeria's wounds. So, what is the truth and who is behind this narrative? At home, a World Bank report delivers another jolt. About 139 million Nigerians still live in poverty, despite Tinubu's reforms. Are we building prosperity or just managing poverty differently? And controversy surrounds the presidential amnesty list with, according to the cable news outlet, drug offenders, illegal minors and fraudsters among those pardoned. Is this compassion or political convenience? Plus, from our last guest, Dominic Alanche's bold claim still echoes that Senator Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, former governor of Kano, would add more value to President Tinubu in 2027 than Vice President Kashim Shettima. Could this hint at deeper cracks within the ruling party? Once again, ASU threatens another strike for students, parents and lecturers. It's deja vu all over again. And finally, we will head to the Middle East and scrutinize the Trump-backed peace plan for the war on Gaza. So, from Abuja to Gaza, from poverty to politics, this is a world of power and consequence. I am Omar Isa Dandago, and this is the PAPShow. Well, to discuss this, I'm joined by Dr. Aminu Hayatu, a political scientist, university lecturer, and political analyst with expertise in strategic studies. Dr. Hayatu is also the executive director of Mother Earth Foundation and CEO of Education, Social and Health Mission of the NSCIA. Dr. Aminu was a former lead researcher for Amnesty International in Nigeria, and I am profusely glad to say that I am joined in the studio by Dr. Aminu Hayatu. How profoundly ecstatic to see you again, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dandago, for having me.
It's been a while ever since we met face to face, and
Yes.
I think I need to confess that I was among those who enjoyed your lectures back then at BUK when we were in level 1 and level 2. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's move on. The first issue that we are going to discuss is the religious killings. The allegations that Christians are being massacred, killed in Nigeria because of their faith. The federal government has pushed back, but the question is, what can you say about this? Is it true or not that Christians are being killed by Muslim jihadists, as they frame them?
Yes. Thank you once again, Dandago. And I think that the issue of Christian massacre in Nigeria has taken a dimension that has really pointed to some obvious picture about the reality of politics in Nigeria and in connection with politics around the world. So it is important to look at it not only from the angle of the Christian Association of Nigeria, or probably Christians in Nigeria, but it is actually meddled in politics. And this is not the first time in Nigeria that we're experiencing such meddling of very dicey issues in Nigeria's politics, to the extent that if care is not taken, it can set the country ablaze. But I don't think it's an issue anymore, because it is obvious that from the rejoinder that has been dished out from different quarters of Nigeria and even from outside Nigeria, it is clear that the intent was mischievous from the beginning, and there is no mincing words. Like the Supreme Council, I like what the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs said when they released a press release and said, let's call a spade, that this has been happening for a very long time and is needless in a country that is so complex and plural and already fragile, with existing contradictions and conflicts and crises and problems. And in a country that is getting eaten up by poverty and with a lot of different other crises, including identity. Anybody who has observed the trajectory would have observed that those who represented Khan to talk about that, both within the country and outside, have not been very careful, and it's a deliberate attempt, as anyone has seen, to really ignite fire among the different identities that exist in Nigeria, especially religiously. We know that we know that definitely something was behind it, and from the rejoinders that we have seen, and even from the counter statements that were later issued by the Christian Association of Nigeria, show that there is a problem which really need to be squarely addressed.
Okay. Okay. Who do you think would be behind it? Nigerians, foreign agents, for example, and why would someone, a Nigerian, instigate such a thing that, if care is not taken, would bring about, well, metaphorically, an inferno?
No, if you look at it, there are a lot of interests that must be behind this. It cannot just be, a singular interest of one individual just waking up and start to talk about these things. Because any Nigerian who is living either in Nigeria or even outside is aware of the fact that, the killings that are happening in Nigeria is not targeted at one particular religion. In fact, many of the rejoinders, if you have read them, you would see that are really alluding to the fact that even Muslims are being more of victims than the Christians.
Yes.
So what it means is that it is normal, it's usual in this kind of, in the world where we live in, for people to manipulate, certain realities on ground in order to achieve selfish aggrandizement, in order for them to be able to advance certain interests.
So what do you think those interests are?
The interests are nothing more than to take advantage, to wield political power to the advantage of the propagator of such mischievous information. Definitely they want to exploit, because if you say that you report your own country to say that
to the US,
the US should focus on Nigeria and
designated as a country of special interest.
A country of special interest. It is really a mischievous move, because we have different stages, different avenues that have been provided by the Nigerian Constitution, which if anybody has a problem, whether an individual or a group, the law can take its recourse by following the appropriate measures. But all that hasn't happened. Okay. So if you ignore the steps provided legally provided in your country and target somewhere else outside, it means that there is a particular interest that one wants to exploit and take advantage of in order to serve that parochial interest. And the person must not have looked at it, from a deeper angle, because it will definitely, even if it happens, can even consume the constituency that they are trying to protect or they are trying to empower, which is very dangerous for anyone.
Very dangerous for anyone, of course. But then, what would you say about this thought, this idea that there are some people who may be profiting from the disharmony, from chaos, religious intolerance if they break out, they turn into violence. Who do you think, in whose interest would you think that would happen?
No, definitely any instigator of violence will assume that they will take advantage of the violence in order. That is why, if you look at it from the political economy angle, that's why I mentioned to you from the beginning that politically, some people are trying to take advantage of the political system to arrogate to themselves some form of undeserved power that ordinarily they will not be able to enjoy when things go normal. And then, economically speaking, people tend to think about this taking advantage of instigating crisis or violence in order to be considered as a wealthy negotiator, to attract more resources either from the center or to be given more consideration or to enjoy more involvement politically, and to get access to more resources than they are used to. Probably some people think that that's the only way to get it if they do not have sufficient negotiating power. And this is very dangerous because it's not going to stop at the supposed victims, targeted victims. It may flip, and the problem may be the other way. So it's important to understand that in a country like Nigeria, it's needless. You've just seen what has been happening around the world. And if you look at even the timeliness of the information being released, it is really targeted at a crucial time when some crises and uprisings are happening elsewhere at the global level, which means there is a mischievous intent to liken it to something that's happening elsewhere, so that such attention and such attacks could be brought on the very country Nigeria where we're in. And I think this is not supposed to be the case.
So the issue of war profiteers, deep state, cabal, and so on and so forth is not a conspiracy theory. There are people like that.
No, it's not a conspiracy theory. Those theories are driven from practical experiences. Conspiracy theories are not always conspiracy, as it's been said, but it has just been tagged conspiracy because of some of the mischievous elements that are contained, in the process of trying to juxtapose what the problem is. And that is why it is important when all this issue about something is happening somewhere, this is the intent, it be looked at from realistic angles and from factual angles. We have seen that happen around the world. We have seen it happen in the Middle East. We have seen cases like that happening, even if initially people read this as conspiracy theories, they become their lived experiences, which nobody is going to doubt and nobody can debunk. And so it's more important. Profiteering, is everywhere. And we have seen many times where foreign powers actually, invade countries in the name of providing them with support and help to build their
liberation, the so-called liberation of Iraq in 2003 from Saddam.
Yes, exactly.
And it ended up
exactly
a disaster.
Exactly. At the end of the day, they pay the price.
And the WMDs were not found. Calling powers.
You recall the time when you say it's a conspiracy. People seem to think that it's a conspiracy theory to say that some world powers are deliberately creating, terrorist organizations in order to get access to some countries. And people say these are conspiracy theories. But we've seen that, being admitted to by Hillary Clinton. The case of Al-Qaeda.
And Taliban.
Exactly.
In the 90s.
So this is very important.
They helped propped up the Taliban in order for them to fight the Russians, the Soviet Union guys.
So they masterminded that, and all they had to do, all that they were targeting was to profit politically, economically, and even socio-culturally. And they have done that actually.
And so those people who are fabricating those stories in Nigeria and relaying them to the United States of America, asking Donald Trump's government to consider Nigeria as a country of particular concern, as they call it, to slam the country with a lot of sanctions, embargo, and whatever. So if that happens, God forbid, I don't know, how are they going to benefit? That's the question.
No, the benefit definitely.
And they're Nigerians. They're said to be Nigerians.
Such conspiracies are really constructed. It's a construct. They are being constructed carefully in such a way that when such calamity and the crisis, engulfs, they will enjoy the protection, because that is the opportunity you take when you cry, for saying that you are minority, you are being given
you're being maltreated,
unfortunate treatment among the majority, and so on. The picture you want to paint is victimhood. And that victimhood, when anybody wants to intervene, the first thing they do is to give you protection. And the protection could come in different forms. The support could come in different kinds. It's protection, it is security, it is you are given donation, you are being given special treatment, you are given special positions, your voice is being amplified, at both the national and
global levels.
So it is important to understand that all these attempts and endeavors to cast a kind of doubt about the well-being, because all the question is about we are minority, we are being maltreated, we are being punished for being minority, and so on, which they believe can resonate with the global call for human rights and other important issues that are being campaigned for at the global level. So it's very important, and it's tricky, it's dicey, and it's equally dangerous.
So now this leads us, because you talked about it being dangerous and dicey, this leads us to the issue of technology. Social media is believed to be behind the propagation of fake news. It has given those disseminators, those actors who are behind keyboards and screens, spreading those things, it has given them the opportunity and the comfort zone for them to achieve that. What do you think is the role of social media in amplifying such stories that later are debunked to be just lies?
Yeah, the social media is equally as important as it is devilish. So, but how it is being exploited and utilized is the most important thing. For the manipulators of the social media, for those who engage it for the purpose of criminality, have all the space to operate. But it is also important to have counteractive voices and platforms that would also engage the misuse of the abuse and misuse of social media. When there are post-truth, there are propaganda, there are false narratives, and other forms of cyber crimes. The most important thing is to get other platforms and other people and spaces that would always serve as checks and balances to those, so that the alternative could be provided in terms of when people represent the alternative truth. And it's important, when you look at it, we don't, it is a global development that should be even celebrated. I see many people saying that it's unfortunate that the social media is here, it has changed a lot of things. Well, these are changes that have to happen, for the progress of mankind. As much as the criminal has the platform to operate, it does not exclude someone who has got a good intent to put it into good practice. And that is why it is important that people utilize those spaces also to provide alternative voices, alternative truths, and alternative perspectives to what may have been presented against the interests of humanity.
But one interesting thing about this whole conversation is that there are killings happening in Nigeria, and we cannot deny them. Nigeria has been ravaged by a series of security challenges, right from Boko Haram from 2009. We've been affected by the toppling of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, the rise of ISIS in 2014 in Iraq and Syria. The spillover has emboldened Boko Haram and so on and so forth. Kidnapping for ransom, separatist agitations in the southeast, and so on and so forth. Some would say there is an element of truth to these people alleging that Christians are being targeted, because looking at it holistically, there are security challenges in Nigeria. So why don't we start addressing the security challenges instead of just criticizing those people who are?
No, but
this is the argument that
you have to
Christians are being killed.
You have to first of all get the facts right before advancing to a higher level.
Okay.
When someone says we are the victims, you ask the person a question that how many Muslims does he have the numbers that of Muslims that have been killed so far in Boko Haram conflict in the northeast? If you compare that number with the non-Muslims or Christians that were killed, who takes the toll?
Okay.
The Muslim population, suffer from that more than the Christians. If you come to northwest and the kidnapping and banditry that you're talking about, there are more casualties among the Muslims than the Christians.
Okay.
Even in Kaduna State, Plateau, Benue, that axis, there are much killings. The only difference is that one group that are being killed, for example, the Muslims in these states, 3 states I mentioned, do not have, louder voices than their counterparts that are being killed. So if, for example, a number of Fulani people are being killed in the forest, for example, due to clash between them and other people in that community that are non-Fulanis. The Fulanis do not have a voice. They are not as organized as the church is. The Fulani people are people that do not even like to come, that avoid publicity. So they do not issue statements. They hardly do that. Only the Maita Allah, occasionally talk about certain things. Not even the core interest of the Fulanis. Yeah. So it's important.
Okay.
It is not about propaganda. Propaganda does not help the situation. If you want to understand the problem, you have to deepen the investigation to the root of it. Know what are the roots of these killings. The Boko Haram people, the ISWAP, don't have business with your faith.
Oh.
They indiscriminately attack, without any consideration for whether you are a Muslim. There are more casualties. They burnt houses of Muslims and so on. Of course.
And mosques also.
And mosques.
Jumat Mosque in Kano, 2014.
Mosques and churches. Muslim homes, Christian homes. Muslim children, Christian children. Muslim markets, Christian markets. Everybody.
So it's unfair for those Christians who are propagating this to assert that they are being targeted because they are Christians.
How is that going to be fair in Nigeria? The smallest boy in Nigeria who is grown up to witness what is happening, you cannot tell him this story to believe you, because he knows that's not it.
Okay.
You understand? We have seen, I'm telling you now, the number of people that are under the custody of the bandits and the kidnappers. Over 90% of them in Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Kebbi, Kaduna, and Niger states. All in Nasarawa even and so on. And even in Benue and Plateau, majority of those people are not Christian population. So how is that connected to their faith? These are facts. We are in a live world laboratory where we see things happening and unfolding before our very eyes. Nobody needs to tell us. The only thing you need to do if you want to ascertain the figures when you conduct investigation, you will be even more amazed that you did not expect that such is the magnitude of the crime that is meted on the Muslim population. So we don't like, in a country where we already have this fragility, for people to be bringing about issues of religion and connecting it to what it's not connected with religion. The role of the religion in a country like Nigeria that is complex, in a country that's so plural, is to preach, to unite people, and to let them know the need to live in peace, not to propagate propaganda and post-truth and misrepresentation of information and disinformation and so on, in order to achieve some selfish aggrandizement.
Okay, let me put this to you. In an interview on Channels TV last Sunday, presidential aide Daniel Bwala, who was once where he was sitting, attributed the whole story to what he called an event at the UN, quote unquote. The caption released by the same media organization was Daniel Bwala links genocide claims to VP Shetima's UN speech. We went through the statement delivered by His Excellency Kashim Shetima at the 80th UN General Assembly in September 2025. And the full text is on the State House website. Now, we found no section in that speech where he explicitly mentions that Christians, quote unquote, in Nigeria, or claims that Christians are being directly targeted on account of their faith. What do you think is going on here?
You must invite Bwala back to the studio. I should have asked him to really, because he alluded to the fact that it's the VP's statement at the UN. So he should be able to specifically show where, because that is the only way you could be able to ascertain whether what he said is true or not. And that is what we are saying. He's an official public figure that, their statements carries weight, and he still works within a cycle where VP Shetima is a leader. So if you are doing that, you are telling, what are you trying to say? You understand? Are you saying that VP Shetima, because he is a Muslim, he went there to make a statement that is targeted, that has instigated something against the Christians? I mean, this question of fragility is really very serious, and we need to really understand whatever word we utter, what our people will take it, and especially you are dealing with a population that have different characteristics. Some of them educated, some of them half-baked educated, some of them uneducated, some of them, and so on and so forth. So you have to understand what is the characteristics of your population. The same information he dished out in the public, if he's an American and he's working with the American government, and he says that, nobody is even going to look at that. Nobody is even going to consider that important. I mean, they would rather take it as something laughable, because their level of sophistication has surpassed the level with which he can use certain statements to manipulate their understanding of what the real political issues are. And we are saying that governance is not about misrepresentation of facts. Governance is about, trying to manage situations, trying to manage complex problems, trying to simplify them, and trying to even proffer solutions, to be able to do that. If you're accusing VP Shetima or you're accusing anybody else, even the Christian associations statements and the rejoinders that came from all quarters of the country, it is because it is clear that, there is a group that is trying to really manufacture something that is working against the security interests of the country. And nobody is going to accept that. I have seen Christian fellows, and that is a kudos to some of them, that have stood out to really debunk such statements and even accuse some elements of the Christian Association of Nigeria as being mischievous and not representing the interests of the Christians in this matter.
That's lovely.
Because the church thing is not a thing about conflict or violence. It's not about setting the country ablaze. It's not about creating conflict or instigating one against the other. It's a question of peace. It's a question of, living in harmony. It's a question of love. That is what the Christian religion and the Islamic religion, both, luckily for us, both religions preach, peace, security, harmony, and love. So if anybody, dishes out any statements that is outside the spine of these things, then we know that he's representing certain, interests that are not healthy for the country.
Well, we're going on a short break. When we come back, the conversation continues. This is the PAPShow with me, Umar Isa Nandugo, and my guest is Dr. Aminu Hayatu. We've been talking about the allegations of Christian genocide in Nigeria, which Doctor has been able to, systematically and cleverly, in a very positive way, debunked with facts and figures. When we come back, more issues will come your way.
Take a seat on the Political Advantage platform for real conversations about Nigeria by Nigerians. Follow our live stream across these channels and learn how it all affects you. Every Sunday, you have a chance to stay ahead by staying engaged and informed. Tune in to the Political Advantage platform to share in real conversations that matter to you.
Have you ever heard of the Hausa version of the PAPShow, which is Pap Hausa? If you haven't, just head over to YouTube and search for the YouTube channel, which is at Pap Hausa, and search for us across social media, and the handles are at Pap Hausa. And don't forget to share with everyone you can after subscribing and liking. Welcome back. This is the PAPShow. I'm Umar Isa Dandugo. Now to the economy, a subject that hits every Nigerian directly. The World Bank says about 139 million Nigerians are still poor. That is not just a statistic. That is our neighbors, our families, our future. So what has gone wrong with the reforms that have promised relief? Do you believe that the World Bank's figures are accurate, or there is a disconnect between their data and our local realities? Doctor, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Nandago.
So I will repeat this question. Do you believe that this World Bank data is correct, or there is a disconnect?
Well, it is important when you want to debunk a position or a fact, you have to bring a counter one.
Okay.
Otherwise, the first thing we need to do is to check how did they arrive at such figures, and then which methodology was used to arrive at that, because it's not all methodologies that then can lead you to the facts. So it's important. It's about research, it's about study. We don't take this for granted. In any case, whatever it is, there is semblance of something wrong, with the Nigerian populace in terms of their living condition. So even if the figures are not accurate, they cannot be far away from the truth. And we are all living witnesses of what is happening in Nigeria. We see people all over the place, unemployed youth, inequality, hunger, and all that. People not being especially exacerbated by the fact of this insecurity that is bedeviling most part of Nigeria. So it's a clear indicator. I mean, it's only when you want to get accurate data that you can delve into the research deeper.
Okay.
But the semblance, the indication around that we see by our own selves is really alluding to the fact that Nigerians are in poverty.
Okay.
And
but the government is saying that its policies, its economic reforms and policy are okay.
Not to be honest,
and they will yield positive results. A lot of them have said it here.
To be honest with you, the policies that are gradually being unleashed by the Tinubu administration is one of the best I have seen.
Wow.
Yes.
Theoretically?
No.
Okay.
Practically, they are the best. But what is hindering their manifestation, what is hindering their impact, their targeted impact, is the removal of subsidy.
Okay.
and of course other measures that are put in place that do not agree, with a process of bringing about change in an economy.
Okay.
If you look at sector by sector, even in the agri sector, for example, some of the programs that are dished out, some of the programs that are included in the budget, because I saw the budget, I read it thoroughly, and I saw some of these programs, agri policies. And I have also seen, health. But all this the problem is compounded and makes it that it doesn't work simply because people do not have purchasing power still. So when you remove subsidy, almost 100%, for example, you are, throwing the country into a situation whereby people would not have, enough resources, to wield around and purchase. And that is the reason why, even if there are policies in place, so it's just like giving, the policies and programs with the right hand and taking it away with the left hand through the removal of subsidy and other tax measures that are not supposed to be at the time. For example, for the subsidy removal, if the government was tactical enough to remove subsidy installmentally, that would have actually helped the people to benefit from the programs that are eligible. But right now, as we speak, people are not benefiting from the programs.
But they say,
so the articulation of the program
they say go and blame your state governments, because after the removal of the subsidy, now states earn more than they used to.
No.
They said they pump a lot of money to the states.
Even if they pump a lot of money to the states, it's not go and blame your states. It's go and blame federal governments, state governments, and local governments. Okay. Nigeria is a system. It's already crafted, well crafted, with clear distinctions and responsibilities. The federal government has its own share of the problem, just like the state and local governments. Just recently, I saw someone post, in the social media platform, the billions that were given to Zaria local government, and asking the chairman, why is that money? Because they couldn't see evidence of anything being put,
so in that capacity, in that case, should we blame the federal government or that local government?
All levels of governments are to blame. Because
the Tinubu government is championing the cause of local government autonomy.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I just told you that the programs of the federal government are well articulated, but the problem is that their implementation meets rocks because of the objective conditions of the people in the country.
And who should be behind the implementation?
The federal government itself. You understand?
Even if the implementation is at a state or local government level?
Yes, I'm just saying that it's like a father coming into his home to make rules and regulations and give instructions, but he doesn't provide the environment where that can be able to manifest. So this is the problem. The federal government has very nice ideas. I see these ideas, I read them. Very, good ideas and so on, and even sustainable. But the problem is that if you do not provide an enabling environment where these ideas could thrive, these policies and programs, there is nothing you're going to realize from that. And
but in Nigeria, states have their own autonomies. They have the right to make laws to provide for their people.
The blame is across all levels of governance. This is the question I'm saying. So I have told you about the blame on the states. The federal government, the state of the federal government, the blame on the state is that the states are also not proving capable of being trusted with public fund, because a lot is going on. We've seen how local government elections, because this thing is about political corruption, financial corruption, economic corruption, and so on, which has its roots even from the basis of elections in local government. When the Supreme Court made a declaration that the local governments should be financially autonomous and should take their funds directly from the center, it's okay. But what happens is that the state governors went and conducted elections and installed their stooges, as local government chairman and so on, and councillors, so that even when the the money comes,
Yeah.
they are still indirectly in control of such funds because they are their boys. If they do not follow their instruction, they are going to make sure that they do not.
So in this case, it's fair to blame the state governors.
It's fair to blame all the levels of government, federal, state, because the governance in Nigeria, federal structure is a complex, interconnected structure.
Okay.
Because the same governors are members of the Federal Executive Council, together with the ministers and the president and all that. Okay. So when they take decisions at the center there, it affects their states and it affects the local governments. Yes. So all these programs and policies that are unleashed, most of them, have passed the level of being approved at the Federal Executive Council level, which the governors are part of.
When you and other people complain that the reforms of Tinubu government have not translated into something tangible,
certainly sure,
something tangible, visible improvement on the ground.
Yes.
Aren't we being impatient? Just 2 years and a few months into.
No, you could look at policies and programs from day one and know whether they are going to succeed or not. There's no question of being patient. What do you call patience? Patience after you are talking about 2 years. Patience should be about when something is gradually unfolding and you have seen indication that is going to yield. Then definitely you have to be patient. You've planted corn or anything in your farm, and then you have to be patient. When rain comes, it boasts the ground and comes out, so and then you put fertilizer and so on. You are patient because you know definitely you're going to harvest. Okay. But in this case, the conception of the ideas are not in tandem with the objective realities and conditions of the people of Nigeria in terms of their financial disposition and their purchasing power, which will leave them with no option than to stand in akimbo and watch these policies without benefiting, from them in accordance with the original craft of these policies.
So the federal government is lying.
You may not have to even say, you may say it's not very sincere or it's not being, strategic about it.
But it's not lying.
The intent of lying comes from the heart. You don't know whether somebody is saying the truth or not, but you could.
But structurally, you can observe.
Yes, that is why I say the intention is somebody could unleash programs and may not be tactical enough or strategic enough to make them work the way they are supposed to. But his intention is to make them work. Okay. There is that possibility. Okay. There is another possibility that is possibly that deliberately they are, unleashing programs that they know are not going to work.
Yes.
And that is for anybody who is closer to the government to be able to ascertain, based on what they see.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. Reforms are always good, no doubt about that. But Nigerians will argue that the current government needs to reform itself in order to win the trust of Nigerians. For example, shouldn't our leaders reduce the waste and cost of governance, government run, the cost of run of government, and so on, so that the funds get the desired results?
No, but the government is not sincere about cutting cost of running government. Okay. It's not that sincere. They have made campaigns, promises. I heard them when they were campaigning.
Yeah.
They have made such promises. But what they do is even to, additionally, overburden the process of governance with additional costs, unnecessary costs, and so on. We have seen, buying of ships, buying of, airplane for the president, spending money on other things that is to slash running cost. In the first place is an indication that government want to do well.
Okay.
Okay. But when you make one statement and then in terms of implementation is something else, then that is not very sincere.
Yeah.
And
okay.
I think
finally on this, before we move on, should Nigeria be rethinking its reliance on global financial institutions in plural, IMF, World Bank, and so on and so forth, for validation and guidance?
No, definitely there's no country that will grow, with too much burden of debt. The US is among the top countries of the world in terms of development. They have debt.
Yeah.
But it's not the kind of debt that Nigeria is taking.
Yes.
The debt that the US has on its head is not debt that because it doesn't have the money.
Okay.
No, it is a debt that really provides an opportunity for additional interconnectedness with the world, to attract more investment, to attract more patronage of the US products and services, and to attract more diplomatic relations that will in the end, translate into benefit for the American people. But for Nigeria and some indeed other African countries, that kind of debt is a killer, because it is not used. Because what is the essence? If you can remove subsidy, why go for debt? Because that surplus value that is accrued from removing the subsidy is enough to run the government and its policies. In fact, that is the essence for removing the poverty. But that's not what we're seeing. What we are seeing today in Nigeria is that poverty, subsidy is taken away. The government has more money now, abundant money at its disposal, and then debts are coming in. We are not seeing the correlation, between trying to take debts and removal of subsidy and its nexus with the development, real development in Nigeria. So it is really problematic, and this may throw Nigeria into a dangerous path later. Probably by that time, the Tinubu administration would have been over.
Okay. God forbid.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Okay. Yes or no? We should stop doing deals with World Bank and IMF because they strangulate countries like ours.
Yes and no. You cannot stop doing deals with World Bank and IMF, but you do deals with global financial institutions in your own terms.
Okay. Not in their own terms.
No. It must be in your own terms. Anybody who wants to relate with you should do that on your own terms.
But they said the terms.
That's what I'm saying, because we don't have our own terms. We have to work with someone else's terms.
And how can we create our own terms?
Well, our own terms are simple, because the Nigerian government is operating a democratic system of government. We have a Congress in place, the National Assembly. And they have a responsibility to scrutinize any deal that the Nigerian government is entering with anyone within or outside the country, financial institutions and so on. There are committees at the National Assembly that are responsible for oversighting such issues. You remember when the Kaduna State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai, wanted to take loan from these global financial organizations, and two of his senators resisted that loan. That was how he was not able to obtain that loan in his first tenure. That means that an institution will be able to work on her own terms if it wants to. And they haven't done that. I'm seeing too much romance between the National Assembly and the executive arm in Nigeria, and that's not why we are not seeing too many progressive ideas flying around.
And that romance is fishy.
That romance is not supposed to be. In fact, when you see a friction between, a healthy friction, if it exists between the executive and the legislature, it's going to produce something positive for the country. But when there is romance, or too much of romance, then that means that Nigerians' interest is being compromised. There's no doubt about that. This is the reality, either in Nigeria or anywhere else in the world.
But the Senate President once, a couple of months ago, said, we're not here to confront, to have any confrontation.
But nobody said the National Assembly should be confronted. Nobody says that. What is confrontation? Confrontation is unhealthy. But there is going to be something healthy when the National Assembly are effectively carrying out their oversight functions. They check the excesses of the president and his ministers and call them to order. We've not seen that happening too many times. And even if something happens, all Nigerians would know that it's just a mad drama. So we don't like that kind of political system, because it's unprogressive, it's unproductive, is counterproductive.
Let's move on to the issue of presidential amnesty and pardon. The president has recently Let's move on to the issue of presidential amnesty. The president's recent amnesty decision has sparked debates across the country. Some say it's a gesture of compassion. Others call it a political cleansing. But what does this mean for justice and accountability in Nigeria? Doctor, let me put this question to you, or merge these questions. Is the president enabling criminality with his latest amnesty of convicted criminals?
No, it's the Nigerian law that enables criminality.
Not the president.
No, not the president. The president has worked within the confines of law, and so you can't have him to blame. You could suggest to him that probably out of consultation with the right people in government, the Attorney General of the Federation, the Chief Justice, the judges of the Supreme Court, and similar very important people like that.
Yeah.
He could consult with them to say, for example, that who among these people deserves the pardon or not. For example, people are not happy with some of those that are pardoned because of the issues involved in their conviction.
Yeah.
We have seen someone who has taken the life of another person being pardoned. I'm a Muslim, for example, in Islam. Only the bearer of that soul or his rep, has the responsibility to forgive the life taker.
Yes.
So why are we seeing the president just, with his own using his own discretion to just forgive somebody who's the father of the husband?
You're talking about Mariam Sanda,
yes,
who killed her husband Biliaminu in 2017.
His father wrote.
Okay.
His father wrote on one of the national dailies, showing that it is unfortunate that this and that.
Okay.
So you see, this is the problem. But the law empowers the president to do that, and so you cannot blame him for doing that. I want us to be honest, because sometimes emotions could drive us to do injustice to some people. The president worked within the confines of law. So now it pushes us back to the root of that provision to say that it needs to be amended with some conditions, so that, for example, the law could be amended to say that for people who have killed other people, they could be subjected to some additional, clauses that will require the condition of approval of, the person who has the liability of death. So this is important. Some of these laws to be reviewed, but the president has worked with it. But
yes,
you could challenge the president at his own level now, because to say that
human being,
why is he pardoning people that obviously, their pardon will promote criminality rather than reduce it. They are taken, to custody in the correctional centers because is to manage criminality, is to be able to control it, and so on. But then you are now giving people the impression that they can go and get involved in any kind of crime.
Someday
some
president
will forgive them. And you are setting a precedent for other presidents to come and also do that for the people that they want to do it for. So it is really, it has a lot of dynamics. It has a lot of intricacies which need to be carefully looked at. If I were the president, there are many people in that list that I'm not going to pardon.
Let's move on to the issue of ASU strike. Once again, the Academic Staff Union of University ASU has gone on another strike. The story is old, but the consequences are still fresh. Broken promises, underfunded schools, and frustrated students. It's the time, or it's the same cycle year after year. Why has this not yet been resolved? Because you can hardly meet a public school or public university graduate who has never been affected by one ASU strike or the other. I don't know. Have you ever been affected?
I have been affected many times as a student, and I have been also affected many times as a lecturer.
So you see.
So
So who would you now blame?
Actually, it depends on the issue at point.
Let's assume you are not a lecturer.
Yes.
You are a public affairs analyst, and on a neutral ground, who would you blame?
No, in some there is the part of the blame. There is a part of blame that is for the federal government, and there is the one for us. I'll tell you how. That of the federal government is that the federal government is not being very responsible about education in Nigeria. It's clear that the elites in Nigeria, the governance elite in Nigeria, are really undermining the development of education in Nigeria, which is very unfortunate. All of them, have passed through educational system, one education system or the other in Nigeria. Even if, in fact, many of them even benefited from free education to be where they are and to acquire the knowledge which they think they know something to undermine education today is because of them being beneficiaries of that free education. So if you look at it critically, you will understand that because they have passed that stage and now they are not at the stage of acquiring education, or because of their disposition, they are able to sponsor themselves or their families somewhere else to go and get alternative education, is very wrong. The ASU side of the problem is that ASU is not a good negotiator.
It's not a good negotiator.
Yes, I have fought that with my branch, ASU branch, at my local branch in the university, to tell them that I don't like this classical way of doing things all the time. It's too monotonous, it doesn't align with the new realities. Because at a point we were in debate with some ASU officials that ASU cannot have a Twitter handle. How can you say the American president has a Twitter handle? The secretary to the United Nations has a Twitter handle, and you are saying that because it might be replicated by other criminals and so what? There is a way you verify your Twitter handle. This is a one knowledge with ASU, with all the members, lecturers and professors in information and communications technology, in mathematics, in this and that, and then you are skeptical about that affects their bargaining power. So there was also even a time when I and other members debated with the leaders in the branch that the ASU need to sue federal government in industrial court because the federal government has violated the 2009 agreement consistently. Memorandum of understanding, memorandum of action, and so on. Many of these officials refused and said that ASU does not do its ways like that, so it doesn't go to court. But at the end of the day, what happened? The federal government took ASU to industrial court, and the federal government won. The industrial court asked ASU to call off the strike. This is what we are saying. ASU's strategy, is not very effective in the way that it gets what's on. But ASU is the one that is right in the whole of this.
Okay. ASU is always right. Has always been right. I can see. I can see. A lot of people would agree with you. But then you are saying that ASU's dogmatism and conservatism has contributed towards the escalation of these problems.
Exactly.
And if they do not reform themselves.
If ASU doesn't reform, we have new ways of, doing unionism. We have new ways. You must constantly adjust. You must constantly
adjust. Is it ready to adjust now?
Well, that is the question for ASU. Because I've asked this question many times.
And
since when I was a young lecturer. I mean, this constant, mentioning of the fact that this is not the way we do our things. I don't know if it is, an injunction that ASU cannot go outside what it has traditionally started. And this is not something that anyone will believe ASU on. The most important thing is to look at alternative ways. When you have a bunch of issues between you and the federal government, take one at a time, for example. When it's done, for example, you have this issue of salary increment. Deal with it. Let it be the only thing on the table so that you tactically negotiate, bargain, anything is negotiable. You can do that. And then the next time, You say, no. Our members are saying that welfare is this. The situation, because what ASU, all that ASU has been asking for, there are genuine concerns that any development, if any development must take place, it must be through those things. There are laboratories, the condition of classrooms, hostels, and so on, all of which collectively produce a convenient environment for learning, which, if not available, will be at the detriment of the development of the education sector and by implication the development of the nation.
And so we have to
fix
that.
That's the argument. At one point, at one time, the United Nations was saying that for any country to be developed, it has to commit anything above 26% of its total annual budget to education. They have even jacked it to 30 and above. This is important, and a country that does not, commit to doing that, it is clear that it is undermining education and it is undermining development. All the sectors you see are hinged on education, and once education is not developed, it is going to continue to be a mirage for these sectors to be able to contribute to the economy of the country.
I don't want to be tagged as someone who always brings about conspiracy theories in plural. Is it true that the leaders, the politicians that we have, do not want the children of the common man to be educated, and that's why they are scuttling, they are depriving us of getting the very education that has made them what they are?
It is important that we don't speak for people when they don't say things, but we can see semblance of something happening. And in Nigeria, what we know is that there is always an attempt, to discriminate between the children of between the poor and the rich. This class difference has always been there ever since Nigeria came into place. And it has been pursued in different dimensions and degrees, depending on who is in government, what interest is there, and what is the development around that time. But most importantly is everyone in Nigeria knows that the political class, the political class, the bureaucratic class, all the elite classes have actually placed themselves above, the lower class of the masses, who have always constantly been subjected to, discrimination of all kinds, including in education. And because we have seen the manifestation of that even in terms of provision of employment for the children of the elites, because most of the time they are the ones who get opportunities to go and work in the most paid places in government or even in the private sector. So, this has got its roots from the way that education, all of us pass through this educational system with something. When we did registration, you see yourself paying, for example, 12,000 for registration or 20,000, but a lot has been subsidized for you to be able to pay that.
Yes.
And now you are saying that all these systems should be privatized and students of the poor should pay excessively for education that they do not have enough to pay, because you have not provided the condition in the country for them to be able to get what they will need to pay for that.
In our final year, 2024, the registration fee was over 100,000 for our Department of Mass Communication.
Wow.
Yeah, 100,000. And some of them, some of our friends in other departments paid over 100,000 naira. And that says a lot, speaks volume with regards to how the children of poor people.
Yes, no, you are asking the children of the poor, or you are asking the poor to pay for their children without a corresponding income. They would be. So that is it.
It goes both ways.
If they have access to resources, if they have access to opportunities, why should they hesitate to pay? They wouldn't even count that as.
So that confirms your assertion and other professors' assertions that ASU has always been right.
Certainly. I have never been. In fact, ASU is the most patriotic organization I've seen.
Wow.
But the only thing is that their inability to re-strategize all the time really pulls them backwards. And the government is always being wise. Now they have another opportunity. I'm going to give them this for free.
Okay.
That the federal government has engaged a very respectable elder statesman, Yael Ahmed.
Oh yeah.
To be at the center of that negotiation, and they even opted for the creation of secretariat where such negotiations will always happen. It's an opportunity for us to document the history of memoranda of understanding.
Yeah, in plural, memoranda of understanding.
Yes, understanding all those trajectories, the antecedents and everything, so that whenever there is a negotiation going on between them and the federal government, is just to top up what has already been in existence with the historical facts that no one will sit there to deny. And Yayele and their likes, that are reputable people, could always sit in between to draw the attention of the federal government to honor such things. But the way that they write, look at the circular, no work, no pay, all these things.
Yes.
You are engaging in a vendetta that is not healthy for the people of the country. And now you are sending back the children, to their homes, when in a society where already the rates of crime are high and unemployment and underdevelopment.
Yes. Well, Doctor, finally, before I let you go, let's talk about an issue that you have been passionately interested in analyzing, documenting, writing about, speaking about on different media outlets, the war on Gaza. Al Jazeera calls it war on Gaza. Al Jazeera calls it genocide. A lot of genocide scholars have tagged it as genocide. As they say, it has qualified 4 out of 5 conditions of genocide. 2 years of relentless bloodshed. It followed the October the 7th Hamas attacks, which killed over 1,000 people, and they abducted over 200. And since then, Netanyahu engaged in a series of terrible retaliatory attacks, which has seen over 160,000 people, over 66,000 people killed, over 160,000 wounded, and these are just conservative figures. Yesterday, Monday, as we are recording today on Tuesday, the 14th of October, yesterday, the 13th, 2025, Donald Trump was in the Middle East, was in Jerusalem first, and then he moved to Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, where he paraded the world leaders. And he was like, I saw the speech, and Donald Trump was happy doing the roll call, calling all those world leaders and so on and so on. Piers Morgan said on his show, Piers Morgan Uncensored, that Donald Trump deserves this praise. He's the man who has done it. He has done what Joe Biden couldn't do a year ago. I think some people would say Donald Trump deserves some praise. Do you think?
No, not in so many words for me. Not in so many words. The way people look at world politics is not like that.
Okay.
Yes. You see, this war has to stop at some point in time.
Okay.
There must be a time when the war is going to end.
With or without Trump?
Whoever may be behind that, it must end. It's not going to continue forever. But the important thing is that Trump has exploited the opportunity to do, has taken advantage of that to really do a lot of world politics that benefits the American state. Because Trump has in fact, he was the first to support Netanyahu to unleash that mayhem on those people. And it has been happening, and he's been supporting him, he has been pushing him, he has been providing him with all the support, moral, physical, and the power and everything.
And he even said, finish the job.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Exactly. All these, things that, the killings that have happened, Trump's hands are dirty.
Okay.
So you cannot just tell me that.
At least he has called Benjamin Netanyahu to action.
No, calling him to action is because it is time for them to end what they have been able to achieve what they want to achieve.
Okay.
So there's no need to continue.
But still Hamas is not been eliminated.
It's not, they don't intend to eliminate Hamas.
Okay.
It cannot be a one-time thing to eliminate Hamas. You know, it's a project.
Okay.
And this project has started long before Trump even became interested in politics.
Okay.
You know, this is an agenda that anybody who comes into power takes his take and do, you know, his own thing,
Okay.
based on his own understanding and cabinet and so on, and based on even the disposition of the world politics at the very time he's a leader of America. So this is not something new. It's an agenda that they have been on it and have continued on it. And you can't tell me that when you instigate killings and genocide against people, and then because you now come and say it should stop, that I should give you credit for that. I think politics doesn't work that way. The most important thing is that you must come clean first.
Okay. So Trump is not clean.
Trump is not clean because he is a culprit in this, and he has actually supported the genocide against the Palestinian people.
So you certainly believe that Trump does not deserve the Nobel Peace Prize.
They are doing their political thing. He doesn't deserve it.
He utterly wants to have the Nobel Peace Prize.
That's why I told you. If that's
and
not the way,
he has managed to stop 8 wars.
Yes.
Yesterday it was the 8th.
That's not the way. That's not the way you get a Nobel Prize.
Okay.
Okay, you instigate a war, then you say stop, then they say give him a award. No, it doesn't work that way. It has to be that you are known for not taking part in genocide against people, and you have been working tirelessly to see to the ceasefire and to end the genocide, and you have successfully done that, you have influenced that, then you get the clap. Okay. So it is not a question of people see it from the surface. Okay. It's much beyond that.
It's much deeper.
Yes, exactly.
But someone who has been deeply affected by the wars that Trump claims to have stopped is Shehbaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of Pakistan. Yes. Yesterday, during that roll call, the parade, he asked Shehbaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, is here. Oh, come on, talk. And he praised Donald Trump, and he visibly, clearly said that Trump was behind the peace between India and Pakistan during the 11-day war in May earlier this year.
You know what that means? That is what's called a show for the world.
Okay.
There are certain things that happen, you know, in the open space. You know, that world leaders show the world that this is what it is and so on. But in reality, you know, a lot of atrocities are happening underground that people do not know of. And I'm telling you for free that Donald Trump is not a president that would want to do justice for the people that he does not recognize. You know, Donald Trump, if you trace his history, you'll see that he's a white horse theorist.
Meaning?
That he belongs to a lineage that is superior.
Okay.
You know, identity and lineage that is superior to other identities and lineages. And he deserves that special status against other human beings. So he feels, in fact, this is someone that makes statements and retract, makes statements and changes, and does not stick to one principle in the course of his governance, and it has affected even the way that, you know, countries of the world treat him. You just saw him recently, you know, antagonizing many presidents when they visit him and so on.
Zelensky.
You know, Zelensky, the South African president and all of that. So Trump, if they want to crown him something, let them actually go and crown him, you know, out of fear that America should not attack them. But it is not because he deserves or because his position is really that of a peacemaker in the world. I insist.
Well, Dr. Aminu Hayatu, thank you so very much indeed for educating us on a number of these pressing issues, and we wish you all the best. We hope next we invite you you'll be able to come back and continue
Inshallah.
spoon feeding us with
Yes.
this valuable
Indeed.
information.
Indeed, I'm
Thank you
happy
so
to
much.
be here and happy to be hosted by you with this
Okay.
great show.
Yeah.
And I'm really impressed with the developments here.
Thank you so much
Yes,
indeed.
thank you.
We wish you all the best and safe return back home.
Inshallah.
In every nation, there comes a time when words must become will and debates must give birth to decisions. Nigeria is at that point. Whether it's religion, politics, poverty, or education, our greatest challenge is not that we disagree, but that we often stop listening. We can't build unity by amplifying fear. We can't defeat poverty by pretending it's exaggerated. We can't fix education by silencing our lecturers. And we certainly can't build peace abroad if we are not at peace with ourselves. The future belongs to the Nigerians who dare to ask hard questions and even harder answers. I'm Umar Isa Dendogo, and this has been the PAPShow. Until next time, stay informed, stay conscious, and stay Nigerian. Goodbye.